Okay, we are live, but we got to let it breathe just for a moment here. Bring on Facebook. And thanks to a new change, a new thing with Facebook, I got to do one additional step real fast before we actually get things cooking. Hang tight just 1 second. Where's it at? Why am I not seeing it? One more time, refresh. If this doesn't work, I just got to rethink it. There it is. Okay, let me grab this link. Bada bing. Yeah, this is clunky. I'm gonna have like someone else do this. Stand by. Here we go. The MHH super fans. I got to get it into them. Okay, here we go. Welcome in, everybody. It is the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, as always, my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him, Zack Kelberman. Zack, today, we weren't really circling today as anything more than probably the new jersey reveal, but it turned out to be quite the tentpole day in terms of news. We got a cornerback signing. We've got a quarterback trade plus the jerseys, but let's just, let's get the elephant in the room. First things first, your gut reaction to the Denver Broncos acquiring former BYU quarterback and former number 2 overall pick in the 2021 draft, Zach Wilson from the New York Jets.
I'm tired, Chad. There's so many quarterbacks after the carousel spinning for so long. I'm just tired of more leftovers, more reclamation projects. It's basically everything I didn't want wrapped up into one. And I thought we got through it. I thought we were home free, but they had to pull this off a couple days before the draft. A couple things could be true here. I'm not the biggest fan of the move. It's a really low-cost investment, low-risk investment for Denver. They're paying $2.75 million. I'll have a write-up after the podcast about the finer print of the deal. $2.75 million on the hook for a salary, and they gave up a pick swap, 6th and 7th round picks. So if it doesn't work out, it costs them nothing. If it works out, they have a serviceable backup. That's true, number one. The other thing that could be true and is true is that it shouldn't change the priority of the position for the Broncos, meaning it shouldn't change what they want to do on Thursday night, meaning it shouldn't preclude them from coming out of day one with a quarterback, because Zach Wilson is not the long-term answer. Jarrett Stidham, not the long-term answer. Ben DiNucci, not the long-term answer. We talked for the last several weeks about having the worst quarterback room in the NFL. Wilson's acquisition does not change that fact. It's spinning the wheels and keeping the Broncos in neutral. To say I'm underwhelmed by it, Chad, last thing I'll say is quite the understatement.
Yeah, and just by looking at our analytics on traffic and whatnot, like fans are like really turned off by this. Not just
as they should be.
I mean, obviously, right? But in the wake of draft fatigue, first round quarterback speculation fatigue, to be hit over the head with a lackluster quarterback move like this just kind of additionally takes whatever wind is left in the sails for Broncos country out. But let not your heart be troubled, because this is really a low risk, high reward type of move. Not because I'm saying it's likely to be a high reward. What I'm saying is it's a low risk. If there is if somehow some weird twist of fate, Zach, this turned out to be something. He is a talented player. He's coming out of BYU. I was very in 2021. I was very buyer beware, because even though he'd been a 3-year starter at BYU, he was really a 1-year wonder. He was coming off the one season where he produced at a high level, or at a level that was worthy of notice in any way, shape, or form. But there was some talent there. 6'2", 215 pounds, roundabout. Athletic. There's talent there. But unfortunately, like you said, reclamation, leavings, I'll quote you again, my dog, sloppy seconds, damaged goods, whatever you want to say, okay, that's what you're getting here. But there is, of course, that temptation that a lot of coaches have, Zach, that maybe Sean Payton in New Orleans, right? 2021 is his last year as head coach in New Orleans. Maybe he had a pretty high grade. He liked Wilson coming out, but he was on his last legs. He was going to go high. It wasn't going to happen. Anyway, he's convinced maybe he could do something with him. If he got him in my scheme, that type of thing. Then he goes head to head against Zach Wilson and the Jets in week 5. Wilson smashes the Broncos. Like, it was a pretty handy victory for Nathaniel Hackett, Zach Wilson, and the New York Jets. But I digress here. I understand how, there's some upside there. but it's very unlikely. And the risk you're taking to get him, I mean, the biggest part of the risk, Zach, is that you're on the hook for whatever it was you said, 2 point something million. That's nothing. In no way, shape, or form should this impact what the Broncos do in the draft. Let's see what Sam Bam thinks. What's going on, big dog? Thank you for the super chat. So good to see you, my friend. He says, hi, guys. Wild day in Broncos country with the new unis and the Wilson trade. What do you think it means in terms of the QB draft plan? Why now? And why not 2 months ago? I like the trade, though. Nothing to lose. Go Broncos. So that's the question. That is a good question. Why now and not 2 months ago? And we don't know the answer to it, Zach. It could be something as simple as the Jets weren't ready. The Broncos had an offer and the Jets just weren't really ready to take that. They were maybe hoping they could get more for a guy that was drafted number 2 overall, still yet to even hit his 4th year. They were probably holding out in hopes they could get something more. And when they realized it wasn't there, they're like, all right, we need to be ready for the draft. Let's go ahead and get all our ducks in a row. That's the only thing I can really think of off the top of my head, Zach, as to why now.
I have a lot of thoughts on this as the comments are coming hot and heavy, which we appreciate here. Taylor, 1 second. If the impetus for the motive has to be the Broncos were calling around about the draft, and the price to move up was too high, or teams weren't willing to budge, like number 4, number 6, what have you, or they weren't sold on taking a Bo Nix at 12. They have other plans. Maybe this means a Spencer Rattler in round 3, or, God forbid, a Pratt. But it's a curious move and curious timing, to say the least. Taylor Christensen, $4.99. Thank you so much, guys. I hope Wilson does not change the plan to draft a quarterback this year. I don't mind. We didn't give up that much to get him, but we need to draft still. Absolutely. And you know what, Chad, to what you were saying, there's always that one coach who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room that believes he can fix anyone, even the most, unreparable or irreparable prospect. And that was Sean Payton. He felt that way about Russell Wilson. Now he feels that way about another Wilson in Zach Wilson. But you were talking about talent. And that might have been true at BYU coming out of college, but in the NFL, he's gone 12-21 in 33 starts. He's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns. He's completed just 57% of his passes. I don't see that talent, and I don't see someone that's better than Jarrett Stidham. So it's the same thing we said for months since December. If you want a bridge quarterback or a veteran hold the fort guy, you already have that in Jarrett Stidham. Is Zach Wilson better than Stidham? And if the answer is no, which it's not, then what is the point of making this move? Now you have 2 of the same player, and you still don't have a franchise answer.
I would say that we're really splitting hairs here, or to quote my dad, picking pepper out of gnat crap. Okay. But I would argue, again, splitting hairs, Zach Wilson is a better option than Jarrett Stidham, but it's like so splitting hairs. It's almost not even worth me mentioning that I believe that, but he is more experienced in terms of starts. I think there is more athletic upside / untapped potential, but Zach, it's so far away and it's so unlikely to ever be actually tapped into that it erases it as like a plausible, you can't hang your hat on that. And the best predictor, we know this, of the future is the past. That includes, you could say the best predictor of future production is past production. It's not the only, but it's the best. Taylor saying again, also the uniforms are dope. A wave to the future. Go Broncos. Yeah, we'll talk more about that here soon, my friend. But Zach, it's I can't imagine, if anything, the Zach Wilson trade to me, all right, relative to the draft, the Zach Wilson trade simply mitigates the impulse, or in Sean Payton and George Payton's mind, like that impulse / desperate urge to trade up. It might kind of mitigate that. I think more than anything, it probably just is a harbinger of we're staying at 12 and we're taking whoever the best quarterback on the board is. Probably Bo Nix. But that's, to me, what this signals more than anything. So if there were Broncos fans out there, Zach, pining away and really hoping some power move was going to be made, or Sean Payton climbs the board to 4 to take, J.J. McCarthy, this may be, I'm not saying it does slam the door, but it may be a harbinger that that's not what they're thinking.
Well, if this precludes the Broncos from taking like Pratt or Milton in the middle rounds, I'm fine with that because they're backup prospects, arguably. But if this precludes the Broncos from taking Knicks at 12 or Penix or trading up or whoever they had their heart set on in the first round, that's where it becomes a problem for me. You need a permanent full-time solution. Zach Wilson is not that. He's a temporary stopgap at most. You don't even know if you can salvage him, Chad. We're going on still the P word potential and not the R word results. That's what I want from my quarterback. Maybe I'm making too much of it. I just think it's an unnecessary waste of allocation of assets when you have a franchise quarterback potentially staring you in the face. And what are you doing now? Now you might get too scared and take an edge rusher?
The fear is maybe the Broncos believe there's one or two guys that are franchise guys, but they're out of reach to them. And so they don't think there is a franchise guy at 12. So that's part of what this, and I know there's a lot of Broncos that have, Broncos fans they kind of have that buried in the lizard brain. They're like, man, does this mean the Broncos just don't think there's a guy there for him? I don't think it's that, but it really is, unfortunately, a deflating trade because Zach Wilson, I mean, look, dude, even this time last year, Zach Wilson would have been like, really, what? And now on the heels of the Russ implosion and just nothing doing relative to Jarrett Stidham, if you had a little bit of hope that when Stidham finally got his chance, he was going to show something, that ship sailed. That ain't happening. And then it's like, Broncos fans are feeling the echoes of the past, Zach. They're feeling the traumatic echoes of the very recent and not so recent past. I mean, this has been going on now as a matter of course for the Broncos. Old regime with Elway, now current regime with George Payton. Tried it with Russ, didn't work out. Hey, let's bring in former number 2 overall pick Zach Wilson. If they thought in any way, shape, or form that was going to juice the fan base, wow, were they like wildly mistaken. Father Ridge, what's going on? Thank you for the super chat and welcome. I don't recognize you as a super chatter, so welcome to the manger, my friend. He says, you two are awesome. Thank you, bro. You're awesome. He says, really believe this community is the heart and soul of Broncos country. Also, why is no one talking about Slovis? Yeah. I mean, he's there as like a sleeper late, he's like a mid-round, late round sleeper, but the bloom's off the rose relative to him. But thank you for saying that, Father Rich. It's very kind of you. We agree with you 100%, by the way. We believe this is the heart and soul of Broncos country happening right here. Cody Dub jumping. Anyway, Zach takes number 3 for people that have Russ jerseys.
That number is already accounted for. Will Lutz took number 3. As far as I know, we wrote about that a few months ago, Chad. So
that's
maybe Zach Wilson
for quarterbacks, dude.
Yeah, they should have. Yeah, Drew Lock, Russell Wilson. That number's out. Zach Wilson can have number 1, or I think that's Tremont Smith's number still. But take any number but 3, Chad. Literally any other number.
Yeah, and what's funny is that's just not even a number that has any kind of historical juice to it at all in Broncos country anyway. And I'm trying to think off the top of my head, like how many quarterbacks in NFL history besides Russ did anything as a number 3 jersey. I'm gonna have to ponder that. Mike Edel, what's going on, big dog? Good evening, gentlemen. I think this is a huge overreaction. We paid next to nothing to get him, and we only have one QB with NFL experience. If he turns out to be okay, good. Thank you, Mike. By the way, love you, big dog. I think it is, but you got to understand where. I think it's an overreaction by and large from a fan base that is just tired of mid moves and tired of the type of moves that you can telegraph and see it from a mile away and go, this is just the same old thing. Like, it's not going to happen. This isn't going to be some savior that Peyton turns from a from a lump of coal into a shiny diamond. I mean, I heard someone say, hey, look what he did with Drew Brees. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Drew Brees was a wounded animal, yes, going into Zach, the 2006 free agent period, but he suffered that career-threatening throwing shoulder injury, the final game of the 2005 season. Sean Payton saw something, but this was not anything remotely comparable to Zach Wilson. Drew Brees was a former Pro Bowler. He'd won a lot of games in San Diego. This was a guy who actually had a resume, Zach, with which you could say, oh, if the best predictor of the future is the past relative to Drew Brees, I like what the future holds. Like, there was reason to believe in Drew Brees. I mean, you're not much Zach. You're not far removed with Zach Wilson. You're not far removed from like the unproven projections that you get into with draft quarterbacks. The biggest difference here, though, with Zach Wilson is, and then I'm serving it back to you, the damaged goods thing,
Yeah.
right? He's now been put through the ringer, traumatized, confidence in the gutter, traded away, all that stuff. Do you really want that smoke? What might have been, who knows? If he would have landed in a different situation, we'll never know. But that's where it's at.
We just got a whole color combination hitting us in the side chat, so we'll get to you guys in just one second. Yeah, you're right about damaged goods, and how you described him was the way that we could describe Russell Wilson going into last season. And a lot of people talk about Sean Payton like he's God, like he can fix any NFL player ever. And I'm a big Sean Payton fan, but he's not God. He can't fix everyone. He couldn't fix Russell Wilson, and it's debatable whether he can fix Zach Wilson. And so one last thing to Mike's comment about he'll be okay, define okay. If okay is just an okay backup, that doesn't move the needle for the Broncos. It's not what they need. They don't have a bona fide quarterback one where we can choose to split hairs over who the backup should be. It's pointless. It's like having 4 tires but no engine for a car. Get the engine first and then build around from that.
Well
Thank
said.
you, Michaela.
The Duchess jumping in from the top rope. We love you. You know this, Michaela. Thank you so much. Tip of the cap.
Thank you.
She says, this is why I don't trust the Broncos. All Peyton and Peyton have done is further ruin the Broncos. How can I give my heart and soul to a team that doesn't care and does nothing to improve the team? I know that I said I was done before, but now I am over it. Well, look, one thing to keep in mind, Michaela, and I wrote about this in my gut reaction article. So the last thing I said in the article is and I'm going to include myself in this, before we knee-jerk too hard and bust out our own teeth, let's at least wait to see what happens Thursday night. Because, and I'll say this, and this could end up, Zach, it's happened before, rarely in the business that we're in as pundits, for lack of a better term, where your opinions and takes are on the record day in, day out. Are you 100? No one's batting 1,000 in this business, right? But if my read on Sean, I'm going to speak for myself. If my read on Sean Payton, which I still trust him when it comes to quarterbacks, offense, all that stuff, I trust him. So if that faith is well-founded, what I'm getting at here, then Zach Wilson is just a hedge. It's not going to change the reality of the situation. Like if Sean Payton is as real and wise and I guess innovative and brilliant as his reputation would say it is, Zach, no, in no way does he look at, okay, we got Zach Wilson quarterbacks off the board for us. Uncheck that box. We're good to go. Yeah. So you got to believe, I'm going to speak for myself. I've got to believe that it changes nothing other than maybe it kind of removes some need or urge to trade up. But Zach, I would say this to Michaela. If Thursday night, by the time you go to bed, the Broncos quarterback situation is unchanged, then, hey, I have a hard time dissuading you from feeling the way you feel. But my counsel to you as your friend is give it 3 more days.
It's exactly what I was going to say, Chad. And you used the best word to describe the Wilson acquisition, which was a little deflating for the fan base. We've heard for weeks about trading up for a quarterback, falling in love with the top 4 or 5, getting that true, no doubt franchise guy, Peyton shiny toy. And then 3 days before the draft, you trade for a major bust in Zach Wilson. So, Michaela, I understand why you were pushed a little more toward the ledge. You were pretty close to begin with. And I'm not quite there yet. But if Thursday, like Chad was talking about, comes and goes and they don't have another quarterback on their squad and they're bypassing that because they picked up Zach Wilson, I will be pretty close to that ledge with you.
I got to tell you, like, even if we go to bed Thursday night and the quarterback situation is unchanged, but then we go to bed Friday night and it's Spencer Rattler, it's Michael Pratt added to the room or something like that. I'm telling you right now, what we're seeing from a emotional state, passion level from Michaela right now in this very generous super chat is going to be basically the overarching predominant mood the fans are going to have on this team. And Zach, in the wake of, this is why I got to believe Sean Payton and George Payton are smarter than this. In the wake of what it's been like the past 8 years, there's no way they're that tone deaf. There is no way they could recognize the opportunity they have currently in the first round, how much it matches up to the dire need. I mean, Sean Payton, look, you created this situation. I get it. Russ was never going to live up to what the hope was of that trade, Zach. But Sean Payton, you came in and just created the situation that the team is in terms of quarterback hole. Like, no option. Jarrett's, look, hey, Russ, for all of his faults and whatnot, at least even last year, Zach, when the chips were down, my dog found a way, made a way. Like, he would go out and make it happen. Way too inconsistent, painfully so at times. I get it. I'm not trying to all of a sudden make Russ look like he was or like it was unjust for Sean Payton to bench Russell Wilson. But if you're going to do that and then follow it through to its logical conclusion and release the dude, you had better have the sand. And I'm going to quote my dog right here, the testicular fortitude, pardon my French, okay? I mean, it's not too bad, but still, to do what it's going to take to then clean up the mess you just made.
Very well said. Yeah, and again, if you're bringing in Zach Wilson to compete with Ben DiNucci or overtake DiNucci or compete for a backup role, fine. But if you're bringing him in and your starting options, as Mike Kliss kind of hinted at, which is adding to the deflation shed of Jarrett Stidham versus Zach Wilson for 2024, and you're punting on a very top-heavy quarterback class, waiting on next year, which quarterback class isn't as top-heavy, or someone like Dak Prescott, it's an anti-Sean Payton move. That's a George Payton move. And I didn't think George Payton had any of that influence still in the building.
You know, the only, again, I have faith that Sean Payton is not going to steer us wrong on this. But if I have any doubts, it's because of what Zach mentioned a little bit ago, that I'm the smartest guy in the room syndrome. But again, that's like a Josh McDaniels thing, missing the forest for the trees. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think Sean Payton is that, I don't think there's that much hubris to the point where it blinds you with Sean Payton. But again, 4 days from now, Zach, Friday morning, this very podcast, I could look like a complete clown if that's what happens. And I hope it doesn't, not just because I don't want to look like a clown on this take, Zach, but I gotta believe Sean Payton is smarter than this. The Lady D jumping in, the ladies of MHH throwing down and weighing in tonight on a very tentpole podcast. Thank you, Deanna. So good to see you and appreciate your generosity. We love you. She says, I think Wilson is better for QB2. And we draft a quarterback and Gucci DiNucci is gone. Other than the throwback jersey helmets, the new uniforms stink. Look like college/Charger uniforms. I hate the new uniforms. MHH for life. Yeah, I don't know. I think, Zach, it's really hard. We're going to continue talking about quarterbacks throughout tonight, so I'm just going to jump to the second point here. It's really hard to please everybody on a jersey / uniform design level, just because, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I don't envy the Broncos in their having to try and find something that is going to be, from a majority perspective, loved. Yeah. I did not have that reaction to where I was like, ooh. To me, it was just like, oh, okay, that's what it is now. All right, move on. It's kind of like when the Color Rush thing first came out. It's kind of like when Snowcapped came out. I'm like, okay, that's what it is. All right, cool. Like, it doesn't really change anything for me. I'll tell you this, Zach, I do like that they're bringing back the classic, Orange Crush D, and they're going to work that in from an alternate perspective. But I don't know. I don't think they suck as bad as, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say I don't think they suck. Like, I saw it and I went, okay, that's what it is. Like, it didn't sway me one way or another. I wasn't like, oh, dope, or, oh my gosh. What about you, though?
First of all, the throwbacks are an A++ to me. Those should be the main uniforms. Just listen to the fan base. Everyone wants those. I'm very happy. The main ones, the redesign to me is like a C. I mean, they're okay. They don't cause me any sort of nausea or, headache, indigestion, but they're not the sexiest uniforms. They look a little bit like UTEP or the Chicago Bears. But in the end, to me, like I said all along, it doesn't really matter what they wear. I just want the Broncos to win football games. It's most important to me, Chad.
Okay, so just while we're on this subject, I'm gonna bring it up real fast. I'm gonna show everybody. Well, there's actually some jerseys hanging up. I haven't seen this post quite yet. I'll come back to this one. Hang tight. We'll do some scratch and sniff here. I mean, not everybody, Zach, is like us and able to just chill on Twitter and see everything as it's happening in real time.
They're lucky.
Jobs, things going on. Ted, just hang tight 1 second. So here's the Mile High collection. All right, that is what they're calling it. Here's the throwback on the right, PS2. Pookie with the navy thing, the new orange here with Singleton, and then the white. That's only let's see. Here's what the classics. That's dope, right? Everyone's gonna love that as a sweet alternate. And then the main collection looks like this. Here's the main home jersey. All right, so see on the shoulder pad here. You're seeing this on the screen, Zach, right? I'm not tripping here.
Yeah.
Okay. So the shoulder pad thing here, that's what people are saying. It's too Chargerish. They don't like it, I guess. I like the 5280 component, Broncos country being stitched in. That's cool. So that's the new home. Here's away. They're calling it Summit White. Looks to me like Boise State Broncos. Honestly, and I don't say that as a clown. I'm not trying to clown them. That's the first thing that jumps out to me a little bit as far as the jersey arrangement and the colors chosen and just the design. But it's still, I don't hate it. Am I loving this and buying up every little piece of swag I can find? No. And then here's your Midnight Navy, which I think honestly of the new bunch of the new stuff. I'm not talking the throwback one, but this to me is the most interesting kind of look of the futuristic, this is something new type thing. I mean, of course, again, there's the thing people are hating on the shoulder pads, but I like the white with the blue and just the way it's all highlighted. You got these in the numbers, by the way, those are they're triangles, but they're meant to signify the mountains, etc. But in case you guys missed it, there you have the actual designs. And then last thing here, Zach, this is what a jersey looks like hanging up. This is what the new jerseys look like hanging up in a team store, right? This is what it looks like. But your thoughts, Zach, and then we'll grab Ted.
Well, interestingly enough, they had Patrick Surtain model the jersey release, so maybe that puts some of the rumors to bed about him being traded. Michaela obviously doesn't like the jerseys. She says new jerseys, meh. The definition of mid, not impressed. Yeah, I like I said, they're a C to me. They're not the worst, but not the best. I just don't understand. That took 2 years, Chad, to come up with. I mean, that was the end result after waiting 2 years. The throwbacks are the ones that everyone wanted, and that came out the best. It should have took 5 seconds.
I've said before that I'm I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious like Michael Scott, and that I'm kind of a little reticent to change the current kind of overall, especially the helmet design, because every world championship the Broncos have come within, but now there's so much bad juju that it's maybe that you need to just move back to the Orange Crush or something entirely new to kind of help snap the juju. All right, Ted, what's up, bro? Thank you for the super. It's so good to see you tonight. He says, MHH family, I'm back after an off-season break. Yeah, we've missed you, bro. He says, my feelings toward the new unis and Snacks Wilson and the Zach Wilson trade are, don't hate it. I wish the Navy was the old blue, though. And I hope our draft plans don't change. Yeah. Again, I don't hate the new jerseys, but the Wilson thing, again, I do view it pragmatically, Zach, as a low risk, potentially, and I want to, if this was written, it'd be in italics, potentially high reward transaction, but in no way, shape, or form should it be impacting the draft plan. Dennis Woods, good to see you, big dog. Wilson equals a QB2, Stidham a QB3, DiNucci gone after the draft, or gone, draft QB1. Well said, my friend.
It's exactly what I want. Again, if Zach Wilson is going to be the QB2, no problem with that. You could do worse than having Zach Wilson as your backup, but you could do a lot better than having Zach Wilson as your starter.
Good point here, Troy. And thank you, bona fide superstar here, saying the offseason of low risk, high reward. Yeah, but at a certain point, no risk it, no biscuit. You got to take a chance. And I think they're kind of saving that for the draft. I don't see how any plausible football person, let alone someone, Zach, who's making nearly $20 million a year, and Sean Payton, could see how this in any way, shape, or form could change the abject dire need or situation. I think fans right now, the overall reaction is really informed more by the trauma of the recent past. In other words, how much this smacks of previous moves that led to not only disappointment in the final analysis, but like, you know, Teddy Bridgewater didn't change anything in the draft. I mean, we could go back through all the different post Peyton Manning veteran acquisitions.
Let's not.
It's smacking of that to people right now, and I understand it. But again, hold off on the full knee jerk. We'll just wait till Thursday night. Alex saying, and good to see you, Alex. Boys, we got a situation. We need a QB1 Thursday because Wilson, Zach, ain't it?
And one point I wanted to make earlier, Chad, is you mentioned that you just can't imagine Sean Payton having the hubris, and having that sort of ego to feel like he's the one that can fix Zach Wilson. This is the same guy who said when it comes to scouting quarterbacks in the draft, we do it better than everybody else. Ego and pride and vanity is who Sean Payton is. And at some point, he's putting himself on the line. Benching and cutting Russell Wilson, acquiring Zach Wilson. You're working with two of the most radioactive quarterbacks in the league. And he failed with one already, arguably, and he's going to work with another here. So it's certainly an interesting development, Chad.
Julius Caesar is famous for saying, it's only hubris if I fail. In other words, if I succeed, you're not going to view it as hubris. You're going to view it as, innovative, visionary, forward-thinking, confident. But hubris comes into the equation in retrospect only if I fail. Let's hope it doesn't come to that with Sean Payton. Charms, what's up, buddy? He says, what's y'all's favorite uniform combo? All blue with white helmets are fire. Classics are dope. And give me the Bobby Boucher vibes. First things first, and I don't know if we should count this, the classic ones, the throwbacks speak to me the most of this, the new Mile High collection. But of the newer things, I would agree with you. I like the blue with the white helmets the most, but Broncos fans, Zach, are still having a hard time with the shoulder deal, which I get, but it's not meant to look like a lightning bolt. It's meant to signify the sharp angles of, the Front Range and the Rockies.
Yeah. I hate the triangles and the little touches like that. They tried. It's so easy to just, there's Bobby. Mama said. Mama said.
Mama said. Thank you, Mr. Producer. This is why Scott makes the big bucks, by the way.
That's right. My favorite has to be really quickly though, Chad. If we're not counting the throwbacks, which are by far the best, yes. I do like the white on white. It's pretty clean looking, but overall C grade mid.
We'll see. And I think a part of it too is, we got to kind of see him in action too. Like see it. I don't know. Right now it's like it kind of, for me anyway, it doesn't hit much differently than like when you see fan designed jersey things, right? Let's like, oh, that's interesting. But I want to see it. And I guess there is a difference. We're seeing actual players in the promos wearing the stuff. So there is that, but I don't know. That's me trying to perhaps put lipstick on a situation. You know what I'm saying? Ronk, what's up, bro? Good to see you tonight. How are you feeling, by the way, Ronk, about Zach Wilson, the new jerseys, etc.? Let us know in the chat. We got Michaela Israel jumping in. Good to see you.
Thank you, Michaela.
Hope you've been well. She says, hey, guys, this is depressing. I'm not excited about this at all. Like, why is this happening? LOL, MHH for life. Give our best to the little man Coop. Listen, again, guys, it's deflating. It's it only further exacerbates the apathy. I get it, but I would just hold off on absolute judgment until we see what happens on Thursday night. If Thursday night comes and goes and we're literally, Zach, staring down the barrel of a 2024 season with probably Zach Wilson as QB1, Jarrett Stidham as QB2, yeah, it's going to be hard. I'll go back to what I just said, putting lipstick on that particular pig. Like, we've been down this road. It's going to end up feeling, Zach, very much like, 2021, where it was Drew Lock and Teddy. But at least even there was still the hope of the original guy that was the Broncos draft pick with the big arm might be able to kind of pull his head out and figure things out. We wouldn't really have anything like that to hang our hat on and hope for and whatever. It would definitely test the skills and wherewithal of your boys here, your football priests, but we'd find a way, make a way. Let's just hope. I'm touching wood as I say that. It doesn't come to that.
I swear to God, Chad, if that situation plays out, the camera is going to cut on right in front of me, and you're going to see me in a straight jacket, rocking back and forth, cackling maniacally to myself. I can't go through it again. I know you can't either, and Broncos country cannot. One point I wanted to make about Troy Boer's comment a few comments ago about, low risk investments or whatever this offseason, that applies to like the Malcolm Roaches or the Brandon Joneses of the world. It doesn't apply at quarterback. At quarterback, you take the highest risk for the highest reward and the most important position in sports. That's where I draw the line of demarcation.
It's fair. It's fair. Rocky Mountain Blitz jumping in. What's up? Welcome. Thank you. Oh, it's Ed Keating. What's up, Chad? Ed Keating, started my own channel. Finally caught you guys live.
Oh, nice.
I'm fine with the trade. Denver Broncos for life. Well, it's good to hear, bro. Best of luck to you, Ed, and thank you for the super chat, support, my friend. Sam Bam jumping in again. Love
Thank
you,
you,
big
Sam.
dog. Saying, let's say the Broncos draft a quarterback, Nix or Michael Penix Jr. at 12 or lower, meaning a trade back. Then what's the QB situation going into the rest of the offseason? Competition between Wilson and the drafted QB. Your thoughts on that? No, I think it's not so much competition as, look, we might view Zach Wilson. I like the word you use, Zach, radioactive type of quarterback. We might view Zach Wilson in, when you bottom line this thing, on basically the same level as a Jarrett Stidham in terms of what you could plausibly expect him to deliver on a game day. All right. But he is significantly more experienced when it comes to NFL starts than Jarrett Stidham. So my guess would be that Zach Wilson, let's say Bo Nix is the pick, starts the offseason in training camp as QB1. But they're going to quickly try to usher in Bo Nix or Penix or whoever that quarterback you're talking about, Sam Bam, is. Like, that's another thing Sean Payton's probably smart enough to realize. If you draft a quarterback, longer you wait to play him, the worse it's probably going to be for you as a club. So, like, you're going to have to go through the trial and error learning curve. You're going to have to, help this quarterback take his lumps. Your job as a coach is to microwave that process and get him from that point A to point Z, through the NFL crucible sooner than later. And the only way to do that is through reps and experience, not through holding the clipboard, and studying in the meeting rooms. You got to play them. So that would be my expectations. And it still is the expectation. I do expect the Broncos to take a quarterback at pick 12. That hasn't changed.
Yeah, if it's a Penix or Nix, in that scenario, Danucci would be the odd man out, and it would be down to 3. And in that scenario, I could see an open competition, Chad, with all 3 of them, and may the best man win. And it could be the veteran getting the nod at first, be it either Wilson or Stidham. But at some point, the rookie would need to play. And, chances are, if Stidham or Zach, especially if Zach Wilson started out, the rookie would play by default at some point, either through injury or ineffectiveness. The point being, the Broncos have to come out of Thursday with the quarterback. And at some point, preferably early, that quarterback needs to get on the field and develop.
We've got Naj jumping in. By the way, guys, we are doing we're late on this because of me being gone, Scott being gone, but we are going to be doing tonight the jersey raffle for March. So stay tuned for that very, very soon. Naj jumping in. What's up, bro? I can't wait to see what his take on this is. Thank you for the super. You know this, Naj. We love you. Unpopular, says Naj, but in my opinion, this is a good low-risk move. Yeah, Wilson has been terrible, but it's a fresh start. Let him compete, and let's see where the chips fall. Anything is possible with the draft. Go Broncos. So he's saying if it comes to that, let him compete and see where the chips fall. But I think the message he's really trying to send here, Zach, is anything is still possible in the draft. Like, this doesn't change the Broncos' thinking or strategy relative to Thursday night.
No, I agree with that, and I agree that it's a low-risk move. I just don't see where the chips could even possibly fall. What could Zach Wilson be? What is his ceiling, even with Sean Payton? Is he going to go on to be a franchise quarterback for 10 years and play like the second overall pick in the 2018 draft? Probably not. And if not, then what's the point? Maybe I'm just being too thick-headed about it, Chad. It's a neutral, a net neutral move to me, picking up a quarterback of this caliber.
Hey, really quick, this is kind of fun. And I agree. I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around it. Although I think if in a vacuum, this move wouldn't be ruffling the feathers that it's ruffling. But in the wake of the last 8 years and just the approach the team has taken at quarterback, it's smacking too much of been there, done that. And Broncos fans are over that feeling right now. But real quick, before we grab another super, before we do the raffle, Mr. Producer came through real quick. Zach, who's the most iconic quarterback to wear the jersey number 1?
I don't know.
Warren Moon, according to Abstract Sports. How about the jersey number 2?
Matt Ryan.
You got it. The jersey number 3.
Russell Wilson. I saw the answer.
Number 4.
Brett Favre.
Yep. I just ruined it. Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
5. Okay, 6. This one's interesting.
Mark Sanchez. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Jay Cutler. Okay.
Really?
7. There's been some
Elway.
Good 7s, but it's Elway. 8.
Who?
I'll give you a hint. Southpaw.
Is it Mark Brunell? That was the first name that came to mind.
Steve Young.
Ah, Young.
All right. 9. We'll go through the 10. 9.
Aikman.
Was Aikman 9? Drew Brees is who they got on here. What was it? Wait a minute. Now I'm doubting myself. Troy Aikman jersey.
He's got to be.
He was 8. Okay.
Damn.
All right. Hold on. 10. This one's interesting. 10.
Vince Young.
Eli Manning. Then they've got, for what it's worth, Drew Bledsoe is 11, Tom Brady is 12, Marino is 13, Y.A. Tittle as 14, Bart Starr 15, Montana obviously 16, Phillip Rivers 17, Peyton 18, Unitas 19, and they left it obviously there. So anyway, just fun food for thought. Okay, guys, let's pump the brakes for a second. We have multiple supers and Facebook comments we haven't gotten to, but we got to do the raffle lest we end up getting too deep into the night and then we kick the can down the road another day. We can't do it Thursday. That's the draft. So Troy, though, jumping in first. Thank you, bro. Again, he says, I hope they're not building the team to keep fans from going off on Twitter. Right. I get it. Yeah. I mean, yes. You become too self-conscious about what the view is going to be in the media, Zach, how the fans are going to take it. And that's a quick road to ruin for sure. Troy, you're not wrong on that. But in this case, if you can't read the room in terms of, it's not just reading the room here, Zach, like this is one of those situations where I think fan expectation and the reality of the situation are in harmony. And I got to believe Sean Payton and George Payton and the Walton Penner family are smart enough to recognize that, look, you created a situation at quarterback. It is incumbent upon you now to fix it. And it just so happens you're holding a pick just outside the top 10. Like, yeah, it's time to go back to the well, do it the old-fashioned way. You've got just the coach to do that. You know, if they screwed that up, it's just, I'm telling you right now, if they screw this up, Sean Payton, his time in Denver is already like, you know, he's on the clock, as it were. Like it's only a matter of time. None of these quarterbacks are moving the needle for you. And if you think, I'll live to fight again, we'll swing again in the 2025 draft, Zach. We've had a lot of listeners say that, right? No, before this move, no, we'll take an edge and draft next year. You don't know what the class is going to look like. This is a strong quarterback class, so it makes you even more ignorant and lame to try and outsmart yourself on passing on one of these guys.
I'll keep it quick. If you took a survey on Twitter of Broncos fans, I think like 75% would say they want the Broncos to draft a quarterback at some point on Thursday. 75% plus wanted the Broncos to make their throwback uniforms their permanent ones. They didn't listen to the fan base with the uniforms. Hopefully they listen to the fan base with the quarterback.
Okay. So you guys know how it works. In this case, we had a 3-way tie at 10, right? Right, Scott? Was it a 3-way tie at 10? So there are 12 names in the hat, and it's weighted. So, you know, the people at the top have more tickets in the hat, so to speak, than the people at the bottom. For example, the Duchess finished number 1 in March, followed by Mike Edel at number 2, Gary at 3, Troy at 4, Naj at 5. Those are the top 5. So they're going to have, in descending order, more tickets in the hat than, say, Rattlesnake Master, Rock Chalk, or DWI, etc. So with that being said, we're going to go the 12th runner-up until the winner. Let's see what it is. All right, here we go. 12th, Rock Chalk is out. Love you, Rock Chalk. Rattlesnake is out. Love you. DWI is out. That was quick. 10, all the 10s. GLP, unbelievable. This guy like just walks into a casino and the pit boss just hands him the bankroll. Like, he's out. Naj out. Love you, bro. Coach Chris is out. Good to see Coach Chris rank tie, though. That's cool. Sam Bam out. Love you, Sam. David Yunkin out. Okay. Troy is out at 4. Mike Edel, okay, is out too. Michaela's out. What? And then
Upset alert.
None other than the lady Deanna Hendry jumping in as the raffle winner for the month of March. Super Chat Superstars, this is our way of giving back. Michaela has won many, many jerseys, and she has gotten to a point where, her last jersey selection, Zach, was Tim Patrick. Like, she kind of went, okay, I've got this one. I'll give me Timmy P. And then even before that, she's like, no, Sam Bam, here you go. Was it Michaela Israel maybe? So, there's always that competitive thrill though, right? You want to win, etc. So for that, of course, we tip our cap to the Duchess, but congratulations to the Lady D. I'm racking my brain. Has Deanna won the raffle before? I'm not sure. What do you think, Scott? Do you think she's won off the top of our heads? I don't have the number. I have a sheet, but I don't have it in front of me. So congrats, Deanna. What you do, you go on to the team store, and what a fortuitous day, by the way. This is just dawning on me. I'm so focused on the quarterback situation. It is a fortuitous day to be picking a jersey. You've got some new options available to you now. That's kind of interesting. So, Deanna, just go to the Broncos team store at denverbroncos.com, click shop, check and make sure that the jersey you want of the player and the design is available in the size you want. And just either DM us on Twitter or shoot us an email, milehighhuddle@gmail.com, and with the size, the make, all that stuff, which one it is. And then, of course, just verify for us your shipping address, and we'll get that out to you. But thank you so much to everybody. I don't care if you were on the list because you put in a single, $1 super chat in the month of March. To the people who were really helping us keep the lights on at the top, you know who you are. All of you, thank you so much. We love you.
Congratulations, Deanna. You were feeling a little bad earlier about the jerseys and everything about Zach Wilson. Hopefully you feel a lot better now. We have Phil McLaughlin chiming in. Good to see you, Phil, as always, every single podcast. Good evening, Chad, Zach, and Deacon Scott. So happy we picked up our future quarterback. At least I do love the uniforms and signing Levi Wallace. I think he will still draft a cornerback. I think that's a good time for us to talk about Levi, Chad, if we could. Yeah. Really quickly, I had the write-up we talked about it a few weeks ago because the Broncos brought him in for a free agent visit. They got the deal done today. Former Steelers cornerback, and Mike Edel chiming in saying, awesome, Lady D. Thank you so much, Mike, for that. Former Steelers cornerback Levi Wallace, starting cornerback, and former Bill too. He started there, picked him up today. And from what Mike Kliss said and the reports are stating is that he has the inside track to be the starter opposite PS2, leapfrogging Damari Mathis, Riley Moss, and the like. Very similar, Chad, on a one-year deal. Very similar to the Fabian Moreau pickup of 2023.
Yeah, it's a solid move. Yeah. I like it. I don't think at the same time, one of the reasons I do like it is I don't think it necessarily precludes or removes from the equation the possibility of, like, say, Riley Moss, showing out in turning a corner in camp this summer and winning the number 2 job. I mean, I think the Broncos perhaps aren't certain yet what they're doing with Riley Moss. Is he a corner? Is the question white corner? Is he a safety? We'll find out. But I think overall, really solid kind of, value pickup for the Broncos. But we are at 48 minutes, and we have many super chats to make up. So we're going to go into a lightning round here, try and rapid fire so we can get to everybody before we dip on out. Xander jumping in. Thank you, Xander, and appreciate your patience. Speaking of no-name QB, says Xander, whatever happened to Kyle Sloter? Why did we let him go without a start? The way he played in that preseason years back, Broncos fans would clamor for that kind of spark. Yeah, you're kind of talking to the wrong guy on Sloter. I never quite understood Sloter mania, but Zach, they were able to get a little something from him or out of him, so to speak, by way of how he left Denver. But what's your answer for Xander?
Remember, we were talking about the last 8 years and how hellacious it's been. This is the epitome of that. And I'm
It
not,
is.
clowning you, Xander, at all. I appreciate your question here, but we were all pining for the Sloter house, Kyle Sloter, to be the savior. And after that, it was Chad Kelly to be the savior. The backup quarterback is always the most popular guy in the locker room. And Sloter looked like he had something, but as Scott pointed out, he never threw a ball in the NFL. Obviously, decision makers and evaluators don't think he can be much. I think he went on to the XFL or the USFL, some of the other minor leagues, and played there, but haven't heard much
I
NFL
was
otherwise.
Yeah, so for what it's worth, the last NFL team Sloter played on was the Jags in 22. He spent last year with the Arlington Renegades and the Birmingham Stallions of the UFL. So
There we
that's
go.
what's up. Mike again saying, "Oh, Zach, when I say okay, I mean a serviceable player. He wasn't announced as the next starter. Who knows if he's even on the roster next year? I just see him as a body."
Okay, but is serviceable play is Jarrett Stidham not a serviceable player? Did you not already have that? And if he's just a body, could you have not picked up any other body? Did you have to send a draft pick for a radioactive, I'll say that word again, player with Zach Wilson, who has a little baggage with his proclivity to chase older women, I shall say, Chad, in his free time and things like that? I don't know, man.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. Don't sue me, Zach.
By the way, Kyle Sloter, the legend that is Slaughterhouse, never threw a single NFL pass. Preseason, of course, but in a game that counted, not a single stat, not a single snap. That's the legend of Sloter. Colby jumping in saying, "Hey, check out what Brandon Perna said about the new uniforms." I will do that. I haven't checked him out. I haven't seen that. So I will, when I get a minute, I'll go check out what Perna has to say. I'm sure it's funny. Patriot Tex jumping in. Thank you, Tex. So good to see you. And again, guys, we're kind of rapid firing here. He says, "I'll never be a fan of the old D logo." I know. 27-10, 39-20, 42-10, 55-10 in the Super Bowl. To me, the old D reminds me of losing the biggest game in the most embarrassing ways possible. I never want that D back. I feel you, dude. I do understand that. Like, that's been my mentality. I'm with you on that. You guys have heard me say that a million times on this podcast. It's only just recently that I start kind of rethinking my strategy. I'm going, all the success has come with the new helmet design circa 97 on, but it's been some dark days, and you might need something to kind of shake the juju loose relative to the football gods, something to get their attention. Maybe, I don't know, but I do fully understand exactly what you're saying, Tex.
I mean, I'm pretty superstitious. I don't think I'm that superstitious, though. But then again, you're talking to the same guy who doesn't care if they wear tutus as long as they win football games.
Frank K jumping in. What's up, dude? Thank you. Newer name, so appreciate you. Stick around, connect on Twitter. We'll keep the convo going. He says the New Jerseys are trash. I thought you were like a Bon Jovi fan for a minute. The New Jersey, like, remember that album? Scott knows what I'm talking about. 2 years for that. Yeah, Zach made that same point. 2 years, and this is what you got. Why not just go with the 77 throwbacks? The Broncos are a classic franchise. The new ones look like the Chargers. Yeah, second or third comment we've heard now from the superstar community about two Charger. It's two Charger looking. Thank you, by the way, Frank. Dave from Georgia, bona fide super chat superstar, says, I'm not as resistant to the new unis. Blah, 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 as I was in 97. Hope everyone's having a good evening. Broncos country. Yeah, not everyone. In fact, people were kind of taken aback by the new jerseys in 97, but it turned out to be a good thing. James Edwards jumping in. Thank you, bro. He says, boys, I love the old school. Okay, I felt the same way in 97. I'm glad we have a Sean Payton reanimation project in Zach Wilson. Bring on the best player or trade down available. What do y'all see as our best option at 12? I still think the best option, because I assume he's going to be there, and I assume McCarthy's gone and the other three Qs are gone. I still would view the best option, might not be the best player on the board, but I would view Bo Nix as the best option. And again, for people who get too out over their skis or sanctimonious about the BPA thing, listen to what George Payton said. I can bring up the quote here in a minute if we end up having time, about kind of the zone with which he and the Broncos are willing to reach. There is a formula there. And sometimes you got to, like, if you aren't picking again until 76 and you have you have the Oregon kid ranked 28th, 29th, whatever, you're probably going to have to use 12 on him if you want him. And, you don't have any other. Zach Wilson, I don't think so. I don't think Zach Wilson precludes the Broncos from continuing to be in that QB hunt, Zach, at the top of the draft.
Best option to me at 12 is Bo Nix. Best option at a trade down is still Bo Nix. Got to come out of the draft on day one with the quarterback.
Ramsey Swain jumping in. What's up, Ramsey? Thank you for the super. Why would we pick a QB at 12 when the QB is linked to Denver, a late first rounder? Okay, so saying the QB at 12 is probably only worth a late first rounder. Trade down and get more picks, the QB being Bo Nix. Because there's no guarantee he's going to be there. Who picks at 13? Happens to be the Las Vegas Raiders, who also happen to be very much in the quarterback hunt. You pass on Nix at 12, I'm telling you right now, including in a trade back, flip a coin. I mean, 50-50, best odds that you're still going to get him.
Yeah, and also the fact I don't understand putting players in boxes as to where they should be drafted. If he can play, he can play. And if he does hit, you're not going to remember that the Broncos overdrafted Bo Nix by 10 spots or whatever. They just have to get the best player for Sean Payton's system. And Bo Nix, arguably, Chad, is that.
Good point. Jordan, good to see you. Thank you for the super. Says, okay, if Zach Wilson is Denver's starter and faces ex-girlfriend Russell Wilson with the Steelers, it's a must-win game, right? Peyton can't take an L in the battle of the Wilsons. I would say, yeah, I'd be right there with you, Jordan, trying to categorize as a must-win, but I saw what happened in the first iteration of a Sean Payton revenge game, and it was horrendous. The Jets definitely got the last laugh.
Listen, I saw Russell Wilson lose to the Seahawks in a revenge game in week 1. I saw Nathaniel Hackett come back to Denver and win a revenge game last season. I am never saying never anymore with the Broncos. Nothing would surprise me.
That reminds me of Fievel. Never say never. Remember that movie? Fievel Goes West, or am I dating myself again? Forget it. Forget it, okay? Howard T jumping in. What's up, bro? Scott knows what I'm talking about. Fievel Goes West, An American Tale. Never say never. Come on now. Chat, back me up on this. Howard T, what QB in this year's 6th round would have a better upside? I think this is just insurance in case we can't move up in the first. Patience. Shoot, dude. If I could tell you what quarterback is gonna be there and the best option in the 6th round, I probably wouldn't be on this podcast. I'd be living, the lap of luxury, Nostradamus. I know all the stocks, but maybe a few names in the 6th round that might be there. That's possible territory. Will probably get picked early, but I don't know, maybe Milton that late. What's his name? We just talked about the former. Yes, thank you. The former USC kid, something like that. Lawrence, we got a new rhinestone cowboy and his rhinestone jersey. Kid's gonna look like his mom in them. Oh, okay. All right, I got you. Bolin curse strikes again. He McDaniel'd us again. Okay, Randy up in Alaska. What's up, bro? Thank you for the super. So good to see you, bona fide member of our community. Could George Payton say no on mortgaging the future again with the Russell Wilson disaster? Meaning, Zach, I think what he's saying, in light of the disaster that was the Russ trade and how it did mortgage the future, and the Broncos ended up having to file for bankruptcy, figuratively speaking, does that then make George Payton just say, no way I'm trying at something like that again?
It doesn't matter. It's not his call. It's Sean Payton's call. I mean, it can come from above. Ownership might say, listen, George and Sean, you're not doing that again. You're going to take whoever's there and not surrender 3 first-round picks. But it's not Payton's call. Payton was the one alone who brought aboard Russell Wilson. Sean wasn't around yet. He doesn't have the same power anymore.
Jeff jumping in on Facebook. What's the difference between Wilson and an unproven rookie? The Jets coaching was abysmal. I'm on board with Nix, but I'm also all right with Wilson and building a dang team. I'll tell you. It's the damaged goods thing. All right. He's not a blank canvas anymore, unfortunately, Zach Wilson. So imagine you're like this great painter. You're Sean Payton, and you're just this brilliant artist, okay? And you're given a canvas that's already painted. It's not only painted, but like wildly so and detailed and this and that. Like, then you're going to try and turn that into your own thing, and it's ugly as crap, and no one gets it, and it's like you can't sell it. It's ugh. And then you give it to Sean Payton. It's already there. Like, it is what it is, and it's how are you going to cover over that and all that stuff. That's a really poor metaphor, but I hope I'm making some sense. Marcus, across the pond, what's up, dog? He says, just want us to get a QB, no later than 12. I don't mind if it's later than 12, but I think if you move past 12, it's got to be round one. I mean, I guess I could find a spark, a modicum of excitement if I, chew on it for a weekend and really like convince myself if it's like a Spencer Rattler in the third round. But I don't even think Rattler's going to be there at 76. So like, it's make hay while the sun's shining in round one. Lawrence, I'm honestly kind of upset. They could have done all this before the presser, but they chose to wait now. The next time they speak, it'll be after the draft. Yeah, we were trying to kind of, Zach, get a beat on why now on the Zach Wilson trade, but it's hard to say.
We don't believe in coincidence, and that wasn't coincidental. They've been working on the Zach Wilson trade for weeks, according to The Athletic, and they finally got it done today, and they did it in a way where they don't have to face the media, like you said, Lawrence, until after the draft. Michael Ronquillo, the Ronk, chiming in, saying PS2 Midnight Navy alternate Broncos jersey I just ordered. That's a very, very nice choice. Anything with the PS2 modeling looks pretty good.
Charms, thank you again, my friend. Bad situation at number 12. Can't move up because of cost. Can't move back because of the teams behind us. Mostly the guys picking at 13. Exactly. It's not the most ideal situation you find yourself in, which is why you got to find a way to make some lemonade there. Bo Nix in a vacuum might not be a guy that goes at 12. But in this particular situation where you have a really deep quarterback class, this many teams like fully in the hunt and in the market for a quarterback, you just got to like make the best of the situation. And I don't think Bo Nix is that far removed from being like, I think he's a first round caliber guy. Is he a top 10 guy? Maybe not, but it doesn't matter what we think. If Sean Payton and George Payton think he's a future franchise guy, then 12 is a small price to pay, in all honesty.
And like you say, no risk it, no biscuit. No risk, no reward. We're not talking about a guard or a tight end. We're talking about a quarterback here. So if you have to overdraft him, and the reward could be you're getting your franchise guy, just go ahead and pull the trigger.
Okay, Randy's saying George Payton, GP meaning not okay. George Payton, Greg Penner. I mean, see, we got to like juggle the Payton thing. Then we also have to juggle the GP thing. Like
now Zach and Zach.
Exactly. Now we got the Zach attack. What are we going to do? Ronk, love you, big dog. Thank you so much. Always appreciate the support and positivity, both here in the streams, after on X and Facebook. Much love and respect to you, my friend. Thank you. Guys, great convo. We got a couple messages for you. Then we are out.
Tremendous installment, as always, of the Mile High Huddle podcast. If you're not doing so, please follow us on Twitter at the MHH Pod. You can follow the main account on Twitter at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every podcast, check out MHHmerch.com. If you haven't, please drop us a like at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us on IG at Mile_High_Huddle. If you're listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some of that merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, you know the drill by now. Please subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you.
Keep your chin up, guys. Let's not jump to the conclusions until we see what happens on Thursday. Meanwhile, tomorrow night will be the annual MHH War Room mock draft. It'll be on Tuesday night this week. So stay tuned for that, where we go around the table as a collective and kind of war room, a mock draft. And it's kind of fortuitous because now we have the new information on Zach Wilson being on this roster. So it will be interesting to see how that all changes kind of the discussion and how the guys on staff here and the draft dudes at MHH, how they view the decision. But I already know most of them are like punt at 12, trade back, punt at 12, trade back. Like, I don't know. Is there anyone advocating in that crew, just take Bo Nix at 12 or Michael? I don't think so. I don't think so. But guys, great conversation. Thank you so much for the support. And I mean this, guys. Keep your chin up. Don't need your quite yet. Wait till we see what happens Thursday. Zach and I will see you then.
Have a great start to your week. We'll see you on draft night. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.